All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another weekly setup. So I'm done analyzing over 20 pairs using the fxalexg set and forget strategy. I'm not really getting the markets I want to see for this week as clean as last week, right? But these are the best pairs we are going to be paying attention for this week. So the very first pair here is GPP NZD, right? So far, it looks like GPP NZD was the cleanest for me, right? We have a very strong area of interest right here. So we have multiple rejections from this area. As you can see, we have one, two. As long as we have more than three, it's a very valid area of interest, right? That is the first thing. Second thing that we notice is that we had a very strong selling pressure to the downside and we are slowing down, and now we are currently above the area of interest, right? That is the second thing that we are seeing here. And market is actually currently bullish on the daily time frame. So the first idea is that daily time frame is bullish and it's also showing bullish signs. Now weekly time frame is actually bearish, but this daily area of interest on the weekly is also a valid area of interest because we have one rejection, two rejection, and three or four rejections from this area, right? Now, even if weekly is bearish, right? Even if weekly is bearish, we are above the area that has had multiple rejections before, right? Now, the weekly is bearish, and but we are above area of interest right now, right? So since weekly is bearish, we need at least the 4 hour to be bullish with the daily for us to be buying this market, right? Now going over to the 4 hour, you can clearly see that this is the highest high and this is the higher low. Higher high, higher low, we need a retracement and reasons for us to buy before we buy. So pretty much we have um two time frame in sync, which is the daily and the 4 hour, and then on the 1 hour time frame we'll just look for a retracement to buy. Not looking so clean on the 1 hour because it looks very clean on the 4 hour. Then depending on how it looks, when price is having that retracement, we could actually end up buying, right? So GBP NZ, that will be the first pair. GBP NZD, that will be the first pair I'll be paying attention to for this new week. Next pair I'm looking to see is Euro JPY. So let me show you what we saw. Euro JPY market structure is clearly bearish because of this is the lower low and this is the lower high. But if you know me, I actually like using current price data to buy or sell this market. But clearly, even with current price data, market structure is still bearish because this is the lower this low broke under this previous low, right? So that's very good. Now EMA, if you notice, EMA has been strongly bullish, and right now seems like it's now holding it as resistance at this point, right? So the first idea that we are seeing here is that daily will look better if we had a retracement, because this right here looks like a break under this low, have a retracement and maybe even an engulfing to sell, right? But that is very tricky because if you go over to the 4 hour time frame now, you see that the 4 hour time frame has not so clean head and shoulders, but it has a very strong bearish move, right? Now, if you are going to be having that retracement to be good, and if we reject from this area, it will also be good for us to have this new break and retest under here. I don't know how to explain it, but pretty much 4 hour time frame looks like it has had a break, retracement, and reasons to sell. But this right here is not engulfing, right? For us to continue selling, we need a new break under here, a retracement for us to sell. That's what the 4 hour time frame is telling me. So that's why I drew this minor area of interest right here. As you can see, rejections multiple rejections from this area right here on the 4 hour time frame. So I'll be paying more attention to this area of interest very well, because if this market have a retracement on the daily time frame, the 4 hour time frame will still be bullish. So there's just a lot of things going on, but if price hold from this area of interest on the daily, it will mean that the market will now be bearish to sell. And to be on the safer side, this break and retest under this level will be way more valid, right? Because it has shown that price has rejected from this area first of all, and it's now reacting and it's now selling, actually selling. So we'll just join the trend. We are not trying to predict the reversal. We'll just join the selling pressure when it start happening. right? So that is the idea behind this Euro JPY, right? Now we also have GPP card for this week. Now GPP card, let me show you what we got. So we have daily time frame right here. First of all, this is the only area of interest we can get, right? This is the only valid area of interest I can get on this market, right? Now, for us to be able to be selling this market, we already had the retracement back into this area to sell, right? Now, but because we have a new week, we don't really have any other price data under this level with where current market price is. So that's why we cannot really go back to this area of interest. We have already rejected it the first time. So the idea is to look for is just to join the selling pressure that is happening right now, as you can see, right? I'll show you. Weekly time frame, on the other hand, too, is also bearish. The weekly time frame will be good if we can have a retracement back into this area of interest to sell, right? But the idea of this trade for this new week is to just join with the trend, assuming that the daily time frame is just going to continue bearish without any retracement. It's going to be a tricky one, or a little bit of a risky one, but I'll explain it better. Like, right, let's go to the 4 hour time frame. Let me show you what I mean. Now, coming over to the 4 hour time frame, price was bearish and it switched bullish right here when it broke above this high, right? Now, if this is now bullish, this will now be the higher high and this will be the higher low, and then we shifted bearish again, and clearly we broke under this low right here, broke under this low again. We are breaking lows, which shows that this time frame is now bearish, right? So we are just using the volume of this market right now to just continue selling. EMA, by the way, as you can clearly see, is still holding price as resistance. So we are not wrong to assume that the volume will continue going to the downside, right? 1 hour time frame, also the EMA is still above, right? We have some form of trend line right here. So our own assumption is that we are not going to that our own assumption is that price is not going to retrace all the way back to this area of interest, right? Our own assumption is that price is just going to continue bearish because it's bearish right now, right? So we are not expecting that this trend line should get broken, right? We are just expecting that we'll just have a minor retracement and we just sell and get 1:2 and be out of the market. That is the idea behind this trade, right? So this market structure is currently what? Here, when it broke above right here was the lower low, right? When we broke above here, it means that this market was bullish, right? And then we now broke above again, this high, right? And then we broke below again, clearly showing that this market is now bearish, right? All we need is just a minor retracement back into this level and an engulfing or doji and engulfing to sell to this line right here, which is going to be the 4 hour structure points, right? Which is going to be this line right here. So I really hope this plays out on the on the 4 hour time frame. It also looks clean because we had this break, retracement, doji, and engulfing, right? All we just need is like a 4 hour week coming back into this area, and inside that week on the 1 hour time frame, it should be looking like an engulfing for us to actually press that sell, right? So I'll update you guys on the Telegram because I actually believe this could actually play out, right? I'll update you guys on the Telegram channel. To join the Telegram channel, just come over to the YouTube, click on this link right here, and click on this one that says Telegram, right? Just click on that one and you join us on the Telegram. So those are the three clean setups I'm paying attention to for this new week. GBP JPY is another pair I'm just putting on the sidelines. So this right here are sidelines pair that I'm just looking to see. I kind of need forward to shift bullish again for us to buy all the way to here on GBP JPY. USD, GBP USD, I need a retracement right here and reasons to sell before we sell. And then GBP AUD, we need price to actually shift structure bearish, a retracement and engulfing for us to sell. So that are pretty much the pairs I'm paying attention to this week, right? And I'll see you guys on the next week setups.